Is Henry Cejudos' retirement already over? That would seem like a very logical question. Look, guys, I never knew how sincere this retirement was in the first place. And I don't know that Henry knew how sincere it was. It might have even been something where in the moment it was 100%. I don't know, but it might have been. And he rethought that by the time his wraps were off and he was in the shower in the back walking to the press conference. Because he did get to that press conference. And he wasn't Mr. Retired. He was Mr. Hey, let's talk, Dana. Now, Ali Abdelaziz has come out and said, no, man, Henry's not done. Henry's just getting started. In fact, expect to see him back this summer. I tend to think that that's the accurate one. And I tend to think that because I'm following the golden rule of put yourself in somebody else's shoes. What would you do? Henry's not only the champion 2 times over, to go along with an Olympic champion who's achieved everything you could possibly achieve. He's not just that guy. He also happens to be getting better. If Henry ever plateaued or quit showing gains, you could start to have that conversation. You could be the best in the world, not get any better. If there's a gap and guys are just catching, I would argue that John Jones hasn't gotten better in a period of time. But he had such a gap. There was such a gap that if he can just maintain, he can stay king of the mountain. I only bring John into this to offer a name that you would know. When you look at Henry, that isn't the case. Henry is making leaps in between each fight. It was one of the hardest parts for anyone that wanted to pick against him going to the Dominic Cruz fight. I would not argue with you if you told me prior to that fight, okay, I'm going to take Dominic's best performance, and I'm going to juxtapose that with Henry's best performance, and that's who I'm going to decide is going to win, and by the way, that happens to be Dominic. I wouldn't disagree with you. That's also what I saw. The problem with that, if you're going to bet, if you're going to go part with your money, one thing you have to take into account is that Henry, in between each fight, is getting better. That comes from training. That comes from discipline, hard work, and motivation. And when a guy is disciplined, working hard, and motivated, generally speaking, he does not leave the sport. He sticks around, sees how many more matches he can win, how many more checks he can cash, how many more memories he can build. That's not true for everybody. But it's very rare that you could find somebody that was outside the box on that. I would imagine that Lennox Lewis could have had a match or 2 more. I would imagine Georges St-Pierre could have certainly had a match 2 or more. But not 4 or 5. Not a whole, but there is something there that you have to balance if you're Henry. But when you're on top of the bill and you're the champion of the world, your next fight is a world title fight. It's a world title fight because you're bringing the title. It's a very rare thing. It's something that Henry used to dream about. And once you get in that spot, yes, there's pressures with it. And yes, there's some negatives to it. And yes, everybody's coming after you. It's a very real thing. Eventually, you have enough. It would just seem to me, if we're all to just base our opinion out there, Henry may have been very sincere in the moment. It might have all been a ploy. Who knows? He likes to have some fun. It did seem to me that he ran it back at least a little bit at the press conference. And I think Ali's opinion weighs into this. Ali knows the sport. Ali knows the numbers. Ali knows how to navigate. And Ali knows Henry. If Ali has an opinion that not only is Henry not done, he's going to be back sooner rather than later, I think we should listen.